Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News on Shui FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kasmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. It's exactly 1 week since the tragic death of 8 national heroes in a military helicopter crash. This afternoon, the Defense Ministry is seeking international assistance to aid investigations into the crash. Meanwhile, Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs urged government to honor the memory of the 8 individuals by bringing an end to Galamsey and its devastative consequences. And much later on the program, Savannah Regional Security Council steps up efforts against the sale and use of illicit drug substances in that region. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Now, a week after the tragic death of the 8 gallant men at Sikaman in the Ashanti region, the government says investigations have started with special requests sought for external help in that regard. Pressure has been mounting on the Ghana Armed Forces and the government over a lack of briefing on progress of investigations, fueling conspiracy theories. Notable among the critics have been some government communicators who have faulted the military over the operations and the silence since the unfortunate incident. Speaking to the media during a visit by the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs, Deputy Defense Minister Broja Jemfi said they have received good news of international partnership to unravel the reason behind the crash.
We also want to assure you that the Ghana Armed Forces have already begun investigations into the incident. We have made requests for international collaboration, and we have received positive response in that regard. And so we want to assure you, our chiefs, that nothing will be covered, to be transparent, and the public, Ghanaian public, will know exactly what happened and the cause of this tragic accident. We also want to caution the media and some analysts who have been churning out misinformation and untruths about this whole incident. Ghanaians should trust that the ministry and the Ghana Armed Forces are going to be diligent in the investigations and transparent about it, and whatever was the cause will be known to the people of Ghana, and we'll take some lessons out of that.
And you heard the Deputy Defense Minister Broja speaking earlier. President of the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs, King Professor Odaifio Walenchi III, speaking during the visit, said the education of the children of the victims must be catered for, else they as chiefs won't be pleased with the government.
We are pleading with government that the children of these gallant men must be cared for by the government. Successive governments or whatever, these children of these gallant men must be cared for, so that they attain the heights of their fathers, or even higher than that. Until then, some of us will never be happy. And now, if what we heard is true, that they are in the line of their duty, then somebody may ask, what kind of duty that caused them? Illegal mining, aka Galamsey. This is what has caused their life. If we cannot do anything about this politically, once and for all, that will stop this thing, then this gallant men have died for nothing. This country should rise up and do whatever possible to stop this Galamsey in this country.
And you heard the president of the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs, King Professor Odaifio Walenchi III, speaking during that visit with the Defense Ministry. We'll bring you analysis on this very shortly, but we stay a bit longer on this because this afternoon the management and staff of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, are observing the 1-week commemoration of their departed colleague and Deputy Director Samuel Abuaje. Mr. Abuaje was among 8 individuals who tragically lost their lives in a helicopter crash last week while en route to Obuasi on a national assignment. At the NADMO headquarters, the atmosphere is filled with grief as colleagues pay glowing tribute to the late Samuel Abuaje, remembering his dedication and service to the nation. Stanley Nibleo is at the funeral grounds and joins us on the phone. Well, he'll be joining us very shortly, but let's bring you this.
His contributions to decision making is very impactful. That's what I can say. Sammy, as we call him, is an affable person, a very humble person, and he does not drag issues when it comes to decision. So I think that NADMO has lost an asset. The nation has also lost an asset.
He respected everyone. And he's walking around, even if you didn't know him and you saw him, you would have known that this man is a humble person. Yes, and I want to believe that this is how God created him. But God speaks, and what can we do?
But even though the time was short, the impact he left will always be remembered, because looking at this place and the whole yard, you can feel how Mr. Abuaje was. We would have wished he'd have been with us for long, but God knows best and God needs him more.
And you had a representative at the National Disaster Management Organization speaking earlier to the press. Stanley Nibleo is there, like I told you. He joins us live on the line. Stanley, can you first tell us who was speaking and indeed paint a picture for us as regards the atmosphere at NADMO right now?
So, great, Beatrice. So, currently, as I speak, a lot of external mourners have actually trooped into the premises of the National Disaster Management Organization to join the management and staff of the organization to mourn their departed colleague. As I speak, a lot of politicians, I have so far cited a number of them, including the MP for Kachi East, which is Helen Intosu, Adjuan Tosu. We also have a lot of the security personnel ranging from the military, the police service. We also have the fire service, immigration, and a host of them. Their commanders also trooped in with their entourages to come and sign the book of condolence. And so we are here waiting for the actual ceremony to begin. But then, just as you indicated, for some of the staff, they believe that although the impact, Mr. Samuel Abuaje had with NADMO for a very short while, but his impact is actually being felt, and that the vacuum that he has created, his demise has created within the organization will be filled, but the impact that he has made over the shortest possible time that he started working with NADMO will be felt for a very long time.
Are there any other things that people said about him and indeed what they intend to do beyond observing the 1-week anniversary, as it were, of this unfortunate incident?
So, Beatrice, as I speak, we were able to talk to a host of the mourners who have actually converged here. And, some of them who had actually worked with him for a very, this short while are actually saying very positive things about the departed colleague. And others who have actually also joined to mourn because they know or share relationship, whether by friendship or by blood, they are also here, also eulogizing the departed colleague. And so for them, actually, Samuel Abuaje is someone who is very respectful, no matter your race, your color, your age, or demographic that you come from. He tries to show respect to everybody, especially those the lower ranks beneath him. And so for them, they are going to actually fill the vacancy that he has actually created, or his demise has actually created within the organization.
Thank you very much, Stanley Niblo. He's our reporter currently at the headquarters of NADMO as the staff members there mark the 1-week anniversary of the demise of their deputy director. In a related development, Imani Africa is calling for the review of the country's disaster management protocols to suit current exigencies. Imani says existing protocols have proven inefficient in minimizing the impact of disasters when they do occur. The call comes in the wake of last week's military helicopter crash in the Ashanti region, which claimed the lives of 2 cabinet ministers alongside 6 others. A board of inquiry is already investigating the crash, but the military has since come under criticism over its handling of the disaster, including delayed response and failing to secure the crash site to prevent contamination of evidence. Mr. Bento spoke to me earlier on Agenda on TV3 last night.
What were the processes? Were they observed? What happened? And there are things that are matters of fact. You see them. We saw people go into that space. So we know that the area was not secured. We saw people take aircraft parts off the space. So we know that they did not do the necessary security even when they were present to stop people from doing some of those things. Okay? And I have made the point publicly, all right, that you can't tell me that within the small land space of Ghana, with the Ghana army that we have, which is in West African terms a superpower, and also respected internationally, who are trained in jungle warfare, you can't convince me that there is any space in Ghana that our Ghana army is not competent enough to reach, to take, to hold, and to secure.
So the Ghana Armed Forces failed?
I didn't say so. I said I won't be convinced. From where I sit, it is possible for the Ghana army to take every space of Ghana, hold it and secure it. The question is, were they asked to do it? What were the protocols? Was it the politicians in charge, or the aircraft people in charge, or the army people in charge? If it was the army people in charge, was it the Air Force that was in charge? Was it the crash investigation team that was in charge? Or was it, what was going on? We want to find out. Do we have the processes? Were they activated? What went wrong? The reason why that is important is because this will happen again.
And I heard that the Vice President of Imani Africa, Kofi Bento, but a member of Parliament's Committee on Defence and the Interior, Ernest Henry Nogbe, also stressed the urgent need to resource the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, and security agencies to effectively discharge their mandates.
NADMO is critical and important when it comes to, emergency response at this point. And that is all the more reason why in the previous administration, Dr. Kofi Portufe, who was the NADMO coordinator, was trying to buy a helicopter for NADMO. So the head office of NADMO that was built, there's a hangar built on top of that head office for helicopter, just for emergency response. You know, we passed the NADMO Act in 2016, in which 3% of the total revenue of Ghana is supposed to go to NADMO. Whether or not that is being done as we speak now is another matter. NADMO is very critical when it comes to disasters in this country. We cannot underplay the role of NADMO. Just that it's just unfortunate that we are not seeing NADMO in the light that we have to see. And that is why when Kofi Bento spoke about why do we have to spend on NADMO, how many times these things happen, that is why Ghanaians also think that why there's no war in Ghana, nobody is fighting, the military is not fighting, why should we be spending money to buying equipment, etc. for them? But they forget, and we all forget, that they need to protect us. If there's any extremism, external extremism in this country now, the first point of call will be the immigration at the borders. It will, before it will even come to the other army or air force, etc. All the security agencies, we need to do as well as we can to make sure they are capable of responding to our plight.
And you heard that Ernest Henry Nogbe, he is a member of the Defence and Interior Committee of Parliament and also the Member of Parliament for the Ashaiman constituency. Let's return to that earlier commentary from the Defence Ministry that indeed the government is seeking international collaboration as regards to the investigations into the accident that happened last week. We're joined on the line now by fraud and security consultant Richard Kumado. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Beatrice.
So the Defense Ministry says they're seeking external help with ongoing investigations into the helicopter crash, like I just said. Based on your knowledge of how things work, in which areas of the investigations should Ghana seek help?
So that is why the Deputy Defense Minister will have to be clear in whatever he says, in line with transparency and objectivity. When you have a letter from the Ministry of, you have a letter from the military cautioning the media of what they put out there, the Defense Deputy Minister will need to be clearer so that the media know exactly what to say, and those who comment on issues will also not be thrown out of gear, because we are working together in this regard, and the general public has high expectations. And so to that regard, I have an issue when he did not specify the kind of areas or the specific area. But to answer your question, we are aware that the black box in particular will either have to be flown to China, who is the manufacturer, or they have to come here, which is a standard procedure. You are also aware that the DNA and other related forensics have also been sent to South Africa, and the results came in. So these are all technical expertise we are seeking from our international partners. Other areas we also have to look at, things that got to do with flying in this country. There have been many questions raised about some level of ineptitudeness people perceive that might be coming from the military. The investigation results will prove many of these things true or not. So if it's talking about international collaboration and compatibility and working together, at least the black box, I know, is going to go to China, and my understanding is that it's either it's on its way there, it has landed there, or the Chinese will come. DNA just come. These are the only two particular areas I think we might be needing serious help. And Beatrice, I can tell you, by Friday, the frontline investigators will have about 70 to 80% of what happened to us, what is likely to remain the same, and what is likely to change. And those things that are going to change, the degree to which they will change, irrespective of whatever outcome will come from the diagnosis of the black box.
Another matter that is coming up or is of concern right now has been the lack of update from the military. How should this be handled?
This is a military organization, just like the BNI. They will never speak to anybody. So it is good that the media probe to get some results so that the general public will be informed. Or you realize that it was at the burial of my brother Mutala that the President of the Republic quickly announced that the results they have in identification of who is who came through electronically, and the other remaining 6 are coming. Then again, because governance is on social media, few minutes later, we saw Akando, who is the Minister of Health, and the IGP at the VIP lodge receiving a box which contains the other remains or the other results from the other 6 people. So, yeah, others may say there should be official announcement, but these are ways governments, particularly in Ghana, have been pushing in information into the general public. The media will have to probe, but because this is military and they will not release those informations. If the investigation board finish everything, then they will give the results to the president, and at that particular time, the president will make it public, or the attorney general will make it public. But I can tell you, the investigative agencies in this country will discuss the outcome of the investigations at the National Security Council meetings, or they will discuss it at the Joint Intelligence Council meetings. And Ghana will get to know exactly what happened to us, what is likely to change, and what we need to be doing going to the future. Would
you disagree, and that's my last question, would you disagree with those who think that that strategy of the military now not to be updating the public perhaps it's something that was used post World War II, and there's a need to renew that just to stop the conspiracy theories and all sort of commentaries that are going on?
Beatrice, if you abreast your mind, if this thing should happen in the U.S., where people will want to compare most of the time, assuming it happened in Washington, it will be the Washington governor, it will be the Washington attorney general, it will be the Washington police who will be speaking to us, and not the military, even though the military will be the ones to investigate and some other agencies. Let's look at our democracy again. Let's look at our governance structure. and let's look at the politics we do here. It is what we adapted that is giving us this kind of practices. If it happened in the UK, because they don't have IGP, it's going to be where it happened, the police commissioner who will be addressing the general public on hourly basis, on weekly basis, on daily basis. This is the what we have adapted, and this is what we have. If we think it's a problem, let's change it. Because you've seen Attorney General who comes to address the press, which used not to be the case. So there has to be changes in the area of communication and meeting the demands of the general public and carry them along, making use of the media platform. Because if you don't give the media news, what will they say? They will conjure, and that also become a problem.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kumado, for speaking to us. And you had that, Richard Kumado. He's a fraud and security consultant. Some 20 minutes past the hour of 12. When we come back, we'll bring you more. Don't go away.
Hello, Ghana. It's a new year.
And you're still here on the Midday News on Shri FM 92.7. Now, the Savannah Regional Security Council has stepped up efforts against the sale and use of illicit drug substances in the region. The Regional Security Council says that according to the chairman and regional minister Salisu Bey Awubi, the RCC has directed all 7 municipal and district assemblies, especially those along border areas, to ensure that they undertake series of operations to prevent illicit drug trade. The RCC and Narcotics Control Commission recently prosecuted 6 persons arrested in a joint swoop in Damango. Christopher Mwakon is our correspondent. Joins us live on the phone. Chris, tell us how widespread the issue of drug trafficking and abuse is in your region.
Yes, so Beatrice, I can say that the issues of the abuse of illicit drugs in the Savannah region is something that authorities are working hard to deal with, just because it is becoming a canker amongst the youth that, according to authorities, if nothing is done about it now, it will become something that they will be finding it difficult to deal with. Now, if you look at the Savannah region, there are 7 administrative, municipal and district assemblies, and out of this, the police in these areas, together with other stakeholders, have often preached against the abuse of these illicit drugs. You also know that the western part of the Savannah region, that is the Bole, Sola area and Damango area, shares border with neighboring Burkina Faso and La Côte d'Ivoire. And these borders have a lot of unapproved routes where these drugs are smuggled into the region. And so the authorities are putting their eyes on the ground to ensure that the drug peddlers do not take advantage of these unapproved routes to smuggle these drugs into the region where the youth will also abuse it.
Chris, I want to believe that the Regional Security Council and Narcotics Control Commission perhaps are working with other security agencies to deal with this problem. What information did you get on that?
Yes, so there is confirmation from the regional minister, Salisu Biaurbe, who is also chairman of the Regional Security Council. There is also confirmation from the regional director of NACOC that they have, in collaboration with various security agencies, been also working with the traditional authorities and other stakeholders to ensure that they clamp down on persons who use these drugs. Now, I can also say, confirm that 6 persons have been prosecuted already in the region, and they have been found guilty of peddling and using these drugs. And so they say that that is a good start for them, and they are going to work together to ensure that they deal with the menace. Let's take a listen to what the regional minister and the director of NACOC have been telling us.
This is just a part of the ongoing exercise that we have actually taken up very seriously. And we are happy that the court is giving these sanctions and asking for the destruction of these illicit substances within our mess. Together, the Regional Coordinating Council, the Narcotic Controls Authority, and the security agencies, we have stepped up our game in the Savannah region. We have declared the use of illicit substances as a no-go area for anybody in the Savannah. We've directed the district security committees and the municipal security committees to also step up the game and liaise with the Narcotic Control Authority to make sure that no corner of Savannah that we shall permit either the use of these drugs or the exportation or importation or the trade of these drugs in any way or form. Most especially the couriers, we are targeting them. And it is true that this is an illegality, but the laxity of institutions can lead to these drugs being used with reckless abandon. But we have said that Savannah is not an area for anybody to go in there. So we've stepped up our game. And this is just a result of the collaboration between the various actors in this enterprise.
A collaboration, and we are hoping that it will be more effective and stronger as we embark on these activities or raids. But so far, so good. The collaboration has been excellent.
And he had the Savannah Regional Minister and the NACOC Regional Representative speaking to our reporter, Christopher Amoako. The deadline for returning items taken from the helicopter crash site has been extended as investigators continue to recover debris collected by individuals from the scene. In an interview with 3FM, Ashanti Regional Minister Dr. Frank Amoako emphasized that every recovered item is critical to solving the mystery behind the crash and preventing future tragedies. The minister also assured the public that all efforts at the crash site on the day of the incident were carried out with good intentions.
Assembly member and then the DC, they did a good job by making sure that those that were within the community, they made us have it. They pleaded for an extension because we were expecting everything yesterday. Because from some of the intelligence, we realized that some have actually traveled to the nearby towns, which meant that it was practically impossible getting all of them yesterday. So we still encourage them that they can still return it for the ransom we had made available to them. No matter how small the part may be, it's still very important for the investigation. There is not something to keep in your room for museum purposes whatsoever. It's something we need to facilitate the investigation. So we are still in touch with them. You will never get everyone appreciating what you do. And that is part of life. So it's about your intentions and your heart towards the service. That should give you self-fulfillment. We are not saying that things of this nature should happen again, but it makes us better people. So I want to encourage everyone who was on the field that everything that was done with good intention, clean heart, with all the support you needed to render an order. I'm sure that the efforts we put in, if our colleagues were there, they may have even done more. the reason for which we are all motivated to make sure that we support the process.
And it had the Ashanti Regional Minister, Dr. Frank Amoako-Hene. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us on the Midday News today on 3FM and 92.7. But before we go, there's some news coming in right now, and a strong show of support today for former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as a group of party executives picked up nomination forms on his behalf. In a brief address, Dr. Bawumia expressed his gratitude and promised bold initiatives aimed at improving the lives of Ghanaians, especially the youth. And we'll bring you more in our subsequent bulletins. Log on to 3news.com for more news. Coming up shortly is Business Daily with Michael Obodu. Stay with us.
Radio station.
Hello there and good afternoon. Welcome to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7 with me, Michael Obodu. Coming up, former Controller and Accountant General Nana Professor Ato Gate calls for urgent reforms to address Ghana's disappropriate wage structure.
If one group of people should have more than 20 or more allowances and others are getting just about 20 cedis per day, then where's the fairness?
Also, National Petroleum Authority (NPA) cracks down on unlicensed fuel stations, says offenders face closure and decommissioning. Details of these and many other stories coming up shortly. Please don't go anywhere. And thank you so much for your time. Straight into our top story. And the former Controller and Accountant General Nana Professor Ato Gate is calling for immediate amendments to Ghana's wage structure. According to him, a greater proportion of the country's wage bill is spent on retirement benefits and ex-gratia payment for former Article 71 office holders, while majority of Ghanaian workers continue to survive on a daily minimum wage of less than 20 Ghana cedis. In an interview with 3 Business, Professor Gate described the situation as deeply unjust and unsustainable, warning that the growing wage disparity must be urgently addressed.
Okay, so I think it has some constitutional basis, and it started with the judiciary. Yeah, but when they go on pension, they should get the full pay, graduated salaries, indexed not to inflation alone, but to the actual salary increases of the working staff. Then other organizations have joined. If you go to the military, for example, they've joined the civil service or public service. Those who are politically strong have joined, and these are huge amounts because some of them go with all the allowances. And in some instances, they are even saying that pension is not taxed. So they are even better paid now than when they were working. And I think that's an issue we should have a look at.
You heard the former Controller and Accountant General Nana Professor Atogate speaking. Now, the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, says it will close and decommission all unlicensed fuel station operators across the country under a renewed enforcement drive. The authority in a statement emphasized that the move is aimed at stamping out illegal fuel operations, boosting public safety and reinforcing compliance.
The National Petroleum Authority is cracking down on fuel stations operating without licenses. In a strong warning issued this week, the NPA says operators who fail to comply with licensing regulations risk immediate closure and possible decommissioning of their facilities. Citing its mandate under the National Petroleum Authority Act 2005, Act 691, as amended, the authority says it has full legal backing to regulate all commercial activities in Ghana's downstream petroleum sector. These include the import, export, storage, marketing and sale of petroleum products such as petrol, diesel, kerosene and LPG. The NPA emphasized that only licensed operators, whether Ghanaian-owned or in approved joint ventures with Ghanaian partners, are legally permitted to conduct business in the sector. It also reminded license holders that permits must be visibly displayed on their premises at all times. This latest move is aimed at stamping out illegal fuel operations, boosting public safety, and reinforcing compliance in a sector that continues to expand with rising energy demand.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report. Now, the Bank of Ghana is calling on commercial banks to review their lending strategies, widen access to credit, and back private sector-led growth following a 3 percentage point cut in the policy rate from 28 to 25%. Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama told heads of banks at the 125th Monetary Policy Committee post-briefing engagement that the move marks a cautious shift from a purely defensive monetary stance towards one that supports economic expansion, provided the ongoing disinflation process stays on course.
Considering these developments, the Monetary Policy Committee lowered the policy rate by 300 basis points to 25%. This signals a gradual shift from a purely defensive monetary stance and toward one that cautiously supports economic growth on condition that the disinflation path remains on track. Considering these developments,
you heard the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, speaking. Now, Ghana's pension fund managers are strategically shifting their investment away from government treasury bills, driven by a sharp decline in interest rates and concerns over potential future debt restructuring. Financial economist Dr. Beatrice Adu attributes this trend directly to the continuous fall in the government's treasury bill rates.
Ghana's pension fund industry surged to an all-time high of 86.23 billion cedis in 2024, marking a 39.5% jump from 61.8 billion cedis in 2023, according to the latest financial sector report. Private pension schemes made up of Tier 2 and Tier 3 led the charge, with their assets rising to 63.88 billion cedis. SNET also saw its assets increase to 22.4 billion cedis, boosted by improved investment returns and government debt repayment. However, benefit payment grew to 6.46 billion cedis, highlighting increasing liabilities. The report indicates a shift in investment strategies as funds move away from government securities. According to financial economist Dr. Beatrice Adu, this strategic re-evaluation of investment portfolios is a response to both market conditions and the need for sound risk management in a changing financial landscape.
the returns on the treasury bill has been generally low. And pension managers would obviously rotate to look for investment that will offer a better risk-adjusted returns.
So that was Dr. Eric Boache Iyadom, a financial economist, speaking there. Now, the Federation of Associations of Ghanaian Exporters, FAGE, is setting its sights on a bold target, a 5 billion cedi boost in volume exports over the next 5 years. The move aligns with the government's accelerated export development program, which aims to transform Ghana into a self-reliant industrial and export-driven economy. The program, which is part of a broader 24-hour economy agenda, seeks to build integrated value chains, reduce import dependence, and create decent jobs through regional and global trade. To help meet these goals, FAGE is turning to a larger underutilized force in Ghana's export sector, women entrepreneurs.
What we want to do is to be able to rake in $5 billion revenue in the next 5 years. So the target basically has been the women. They are the people we are going to use as a driving force. If you look at the vegetable space alone, the women exporters we have there are many. Then the processes. So this is the channel we are going to use.
Currently, women-led businesses contribute a modest share of Ghana's non-traditional export. FAGE hopes to more than double that figure, making women central in its growth strategy.
Apart from standardization, do we actually also have the right environment to promote women-led businesses? And this is at a point whereby the government is actually also pushing for accelerated exports to help with our cedi and dollar, the foreign exchange. So we believe that this is the right platform.
These calls were echoed during the signing of a memorandum of understanding between FAGE and Guzakuza, a Pan-African women-led agribusiness organization.
We all need women-friendly policies because we can champion anything, but without friendly policies, there's nothing much we can do. So for me, I think the government can just go back to the table and see what policies can favor women, what policies can help women produce more, what policies can help women export more. I know that some agencies are working towards this, but we need to come together and see what other things can be done.
The partnership will launch Wise Export 2.0, a $15 million initiative aimed at scaling 300 women-led export SMEs across Ghana over the next 4 years. And that'll be all for today's edition of Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, please visit our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe.